Carl, of course, another home fixture coming up on Saturday. Tamworth, of course, the opposition tomorrow. But I mean, in terms of the week so far, obviously the game on Tuesday behind you is now that I suppose you've had a few days to kind of reflect on things and think about things going into the weekend. How are you feeling at the moment?
We had, as a result of the game on Tuesday, we've had loads of discussion. You know, there's been a number of meetings, asking questions of ourselves and then obviously asking questions of the players and just having a real open and honest chat. It's been really good, allowing the players to say their bit, and ultimately we're all together, all trying to achieve the same thing. So from that perspective, it's been really positive. And then this morning, it's probably the best training session that we've had in a long time in terms of the application, the work rate, and just a general good feeling within the group. And obviously coming off the back of a really disappointing run, it's great to see that mentally they're able to sort of park it and go again.
Yeah, you mentioned training today being sort of up there, I suppose, in terms of intensity and things like that. How positive is that in terms of the response, I suppose, to Tuesday, that the boys are, well, I suppose, taking it upon themselves and getting themselves going and training ahead of tomorrow on that front?
It's massive. It's all you can do, as a player. They're hurting, we're hurting, everybody is. But you cannot allow that to fester and linger. You have to reset and go again. And that's as positive as I've seen it. It was obviously helped by the inclusions that we had in the session, which drove the standards. And you had a large chunk of our leadership group out on pitch, and that seemed to make a big difference. So that's obviously give them a good lift and a good boost. But it's been good. It's been pleasing to see the reaction from what is obviously a difficult moment to that. The levels this morning and the way they are, and just the general feeling around the place was really positive.
Yeah, you mentioned having a few faces back, maybe not involved in full-on training, perhaps all of them, but involved nonetheless, still on the grass with Kenton, Tinks, Brandon and Joe, Grayson, all up there. I mean, all defenders as well, coincidentally. I know you mentioned a while ago it seemed like defenders were getting injured all the time, but you mentioned on a mentality front that being a positive, but how much of a positive is it as well just to have their quality back in and around the group as well?
Huge, but the character side of it is the biggest one. Of course they're great players, and they understand the way we play and what's required. So when you have Kenton, Brandon, Joe, Tinks was up there as well, that naturally is going to give a big confidence boost just because of the quality of player. But most importantly, it was voices, leaders. I think it's clear that in the games that we've seen, particularly lately, that through no fault of their own, being a leader, being a character, being someone who will speak in front of the group, or call your mate out on the pitch, or drive your mate to go and press the ball or whatever, that's unfortunately something that's natural within you. It's very difficult to coach that into people. It's, you're a human being at the end of the day, and that's what you are and that's what your traits are. I think it's been frustrating for everybody who's been looking on that the majority of our leadership group is sat in the stands watching the games. So to have them on pitch, even if it was just a light session, but there was some rondos and a little transition game, and just the reaction to get after the ball and the noise and the voices to drive each other on, like, it just completely lifted the session and give us a totally different product and a totally different feeling on the pitch. So yeah, it's been a hugely positive morning in the sense that they've come back and contributed a small part. Now it's about, obviously from my end, I want them involved as quickly as possible and pushing the players that are playing now. But we have to be patient and go on Fraser's advice, and hopefully we can get them back in the very near future.
Yeah, and in terms of tomorrow's game itself, obviously it's another opportunity to try and get sort of recent results back on track in that front. But how are you looking ahead to that one tomorrow on that front?
They're on a great run. They're in good form in the last 6. I think 1-3, drawn 3. They bring a huge challenge in terms of aerial duels and contact in the box, and we expect them to approach the game in that way. So it's critical that defensively you know, we have to just give absolutely everything, protect the goal with everything you have, stop crosses where you possibly can. Obviously they've got the long throw, so we've prepared. And look, physically, when you look at the stature of our team, it's obviously not a big side, but you have to compensate for that. You know, we can't wave a magic wand over them, make everyone a foot taller and 15 kilos heavier and all the rest of it. You know, you just have to try and dig within yourself to have that real grit and determination, that pride to not allow your opponent to get the better of you. And if you do everything in that moment and still concede, obviously it's disappointing, but just to know that you've given everything in that action, fight for everything you possibly can do, and that's what Tamworth will test us on, absolutely. So it'll be a challenge in that sense, in a game that you know, we have to respond in, and I think the task of overcoming them will have to bring all those qualities out.
And in terms of off the pitch matters, really, as someone who's been around the stadium and around the club for a while, retiring today, in Steve Batty, the head groundsman, someone who you've obviously seen as a player when you first came to the club, tending to the pitch, to obviously now as a manager as well, and you had a few words to say outside for him, but obviously a lot of years of service. I think 47 was the number as well. He's put a fair shift in, it's fair to say.
Oh, Batty, what a legend. Yeah, 47 years of service to the stadium. Lovely bloke, you know, just a part of the fabric of the club. Someone I've known a long time, since I first arrived in 2012. Didn't thank him for that season, what was it, 2013-14, where we had to play 33 games away from home because the pitch was an absolute quagmire. But he's obviously worked under, and what we've seen lately, you know, with you know, budget cuts in the council and everything like that, and all the politics side of it, you know, he's working to maintain our pitch on really limited resources, and he's done an incredible job. You know, he's on that pitch all hours, and you know, with the limited help that he's got, he's done an unbelievable job. And you know, the pitch at times has really helped us develop our style of play. So even though, you know, people looking at him, he might just be a bloke walking around with a high vis, but he's actually contributed to a lot of the good things that then emerge on pitch. You know, with a good pitch, you can't play the way that we want to play. So he left today with our huge thanks, and we left him a little token of our appreciation with a shirt. And yeah, we all wish him very well for the future.